Hello, it's Sarah, your leadership and career expert, and tonight, or rather, is it tonight, today, just now, it's 5 o'clock in the, no, is it 5 o'clock? It's 5:30 already. I'm going to be touching on the subject, so I'm just moving my camera around because it's got some funny light shining at me. Anyway, so I'm going to be touching on how you can really start your journey in self-improvement, self-development, whatever you want to call it, because I know it can be quite overwhelming. Just a couple of things first. I usually do these lives, particularly during lockdown in the UK. I was doing these lives at about 5:30 every Friday. I'm going to start doing them earlier in the day because I think more people are online then. But basically, just I know some of you might be going back to work, going to other places now, getting out and about. So I'm going to change the time. I'll probably do them around about lunchtime. So I was speaking to a few people and they said, you know, that seems to be a bit more convenient. So I will let you know about that and change the time of the ones moving forward. But don't worry about it too much because I always post them on my page anyway. Hi, Judy. And yeah, so I just wanted to do this tonight and record it just before I whiz out. So I wanted to talk about how you can get into your self-improvement because it's such a massive topic. And I think a lot of people that I know walk around feeling, I'm not going to talk too much about the pandemic because I did a video on that I did a video on Instagram earlier in the week just talking about what goes on in our brain during lockdown, what might be happening in terms of how you're feeling. You know, I know we're coming out of it in the UK, it's different in different places, but I talked about on Instagram last week, and then I think I did a Facebook Live as well around if you're feeling forgetful, what's going on with your brain, how your brain's adjusting and how that can cause a bit of stress. So I'm not going to spend too much time on that today. So I'm going to broadly go into the facts of, you know, the facts of like how you can start self-improvement, self-development, whatever you want to call it. And as I mentioned, you know, I'm not necessarily talking about the pandemic, but the pandemic can certainly make you realise, do you know what, there's some areas in my life that I'm just not particularly happy with. I've had time to really think about what I want and, you know, what I've been tolerating. That could be in your career. So I've spoken to a few people this week in terms of their career where they've said, do you know what, I quite like working from home and I want flexibility, but work aren't going to give me that flexibility. So I've decided I want to do something by myself. Or some people have just decided, you know, I've been putting up a lot with this career. When I get back and we're a few months in, I'm probably going to switch careers. So there's a lot of things that are happening because of the pandemic and stuff we've maybe put to the back of our minds, you know, or we've kind of tolerated things just to get through the situations we've needed to deal with in front of us in terms of like family, kids, etc. But just generally speaking, very often there's so many different ways that feeling that you need to change something comes about. It can usually be that perhaps you've got a situation in your life, I mean, I know I've had them, where I seem to be getting the same result and it's not necessarily the result I want. And I've just actually, a similar situation has happened a few times and I've thought, it can't be everybody else. It's not that I was doing anything particularly wrong, but maybe there was some adjustments that I needed to make about what I believed about myself, what I believed about other people, what I believed about the wider world. So sometimes it can be, whether it's careers, not getting the job that you want or the promotion that you want, it could be relationships. You know, there might be something in your life where it's like, do you know what, this just doesn't seem to be working out for me, and why is that? Could be just choosing the wrong partners, it could be nerves or something. It doesn't mean that you're doing anything wrong, it just might mean that you need to have some self-awareness. And I think whatever process you choose to go down or choose to work with, whether that's a coach, a mentor, a counsellor, an expert in a field, you know, like you get lots of volunteer mentors, whoever that is, I don't know, even a social worker, you know, whoever that is, or a trusted friend that you know will give you the right information. Although people that are trained professionally are trained not to judge you, to listen, to reflect back what you're saying so you can hear what you're saying in a more neutral way. Whereas sometimes if we're stuck in our own head, we can be quite critical. So what that can do is really raise your level of self-awareness. And as I say, if there's situations reoccurring, it's not necessarily that you're doing anything wrong, but perhaps it's just like a radar tweak. It might be quite a big tweak that you need to make, but there's some adjustments that need to be made, or some awareness about how you confront and deal with certain situations. It could be something quite big, or it could be something quite small in terms of, I think I'm seeing this not in the way that other person is seeing this, or I'm not thinking about how I'm coming across. And it's just about having that self-awareness, because we're all individuals, we're all unique. Unless you're doing something really horrible to someone, which I doubt you are, it's just about raising our self-awareness. So there's loads of stuff online, for example, like strengths finders, value finders. There's loads and loads of different quizzes. I'm not talking about the free Facebook quizzes about, you know, what gangster are you going to be in 20 years time. I'm not talking about that. But there are loads of quizzes out there and tools where you can start to get an idea of what your strengths are, what your personality type is. Or I use disc profiling, which is fantastic. It's psychometric profiling, and it gives you a really good report afterwards about, do you know what, this is your character. And it's not about fundamentally trying to change who you are. There might be modifications, there might be big change that needs to be made if you're not happy in the way you're showing up and the results you're getting. It's so unique case by case. But it may well be that you're just not aware of, oh wow, that's why I get stressed in that situation. That's how it comes across to other people. That's why that kind of person really annoys me. That's how I react under pressure. So for example, I know that when I'm under pressure or I feel a bit stressed, I tend to speed up. I do things really quickly, and I have to be careful to like kind of slow myself down and really care for the details and realise that not everybody works at the pace that I work at, because I'm quite an organised, driven person. So that side of my personality gets really exaggerated when I'm under a bit of pressure. So it's things like that, raising your self-awareness, finding someone to help you do it. You can read books, podcasts, there's all sorts of stuff online you can look at, but have something that is objective, that isn't going to judge you or make you feel worse about yourself, because there's always something we can improve and change if we want to. And that brings me to another point, like, do you want to change? Is there something you want to change? Because I get lots of people phoning up about coaching, and very often they sign up, but sometimes people don't, because their pain isn't bad enough for them to change. And that's going to sound really weird, because it's like, how can pain be a good thing? But as human beings, we're really, really good at keeping ourselves small, staying stuck where we are, and staying in a comfort zone. And a comfort zone, you might think, oh, that sounds pretty good. Why can't I have one of those? But what happens is, over time, if you have got a certain level of contemplation, self-reflection, or some things have happened in your life, you get to realise that your comfort zone is actually really bloody uncomfortable. You know, it's really, I don't want to be here anymore. It was okay for a while, but I know I need to shift or change something. So think about that comfort zone, and it could be like a lack of motivation or whatever that is for you, and you're in that comfort zone in terms of you're just sitting so comfortably that you're not pushing yourself. And that's fine. If you want to stay, that's great, but you might be in a comfort zone that's not getting you to where you want to be in life, or is starting to feel, it's starting to like sort of irritate you. You're starting to think, oh, I really need to do something about this, and I haven't. You know, when you start chattering away to yourself. So I mean, my journey really started by complete accident in terms of looking at self-improvement and development. I had a friend of mine who said, oh, my friend's training to be a coach, do you want to have some free sessions? I was like, yeah. I didn't really know what it was. I think I might have Googled it. There wasn't even Google in those days. It was like Netscape or something. So I'm talking years ago, decades probably. And I met this woman, and it was okay, but I didn't really get it. She did explain what coaching was, and it was a bit kind of nebulous. That's why I've got a video on my homepage which explains what coaching does and the benefits it can bring you. And I put things on Facebook and Instagram this week to explain what the process is like. It's like sorting out your filing cabinets in your head with somebody that's really good at doing that for you. Because I was a bit like, well, what the hell's this? So I was intrigued, and then I think she must have galvanised me to start thinking about things, because there was a point in my life, in my 20s, I think it was, like my mid-20s, and I thought, I'm not really happy with this. I just don't feel happy, and I don't know why I don't feel happy. There was no reason for me not to feel unhappy. So I did go to a coach, and we talked about, we didn't have a specific area, we talked about lots of different things, and she was amazing, you know. In fact, she got in touch with me on LinkedIn the other day. I owe her a call just to catch up, and I think she'd be pretty amazed to know that I've gone down this path myself. She was just amazing. She really blew my mind in terms of helping me to understand that the way I was seeing the world wasn't necessarily the truth. I was putting my own filter on things. I wasn't doing anything wrong. I wasn't acting out, but it was just, I wasn't happy in myself. I didn't know why. And it was like a thunderbolt, you know, like when she was talking about things, it was like, oh, right, I get it. So it's actually, the results in my life very often can start with me, you know, and how I see the world. And it is a lot about accountability and self-empowerment. So that was a real moment for me. And I've had those with my clients where they've been carrying something around for sometimes 20 years. So it's a big moment when they suddenly realise, right, okay, Sarah, right, that's an interesting reflection. So the way I've been seeing things may not be the truth. Maybe I've been holding myself back in my career. So, you know, it is that self-awareness, that mindset shifts. I think as much as I help with careers, predominantly leadership, other areas, it's much more about what's going on here, flexing that mindset, being open to development, being open to learn and grow as a person. And that, for me, that time, I just, you know, I can't even describe it. It was literally mind-blowing, the way that she helped me to rethink everything. And that really started my journey in my mid-20s towards spirituality, further coaching, a bit of counselling with some stuff I needed some help with at the time that I'd never spoken to anyone about. I was just carrying it around like this big heavy rucksack. I was happy, you know, nobody knew what was going on, that I was like, I had this stuff going on underneath. And it wasn't, because I'm not naturally an unhappy person, but it was just, I just knew there was something, and I had to move and shift because it wasn't bringing me what I wanted in life, and I wasn't being true to myself. I wasn't being authentic. So when you're choosing a coach, obviously you can look at their website, but I think the whole chemistry is really important. You know, the chemistry that you might have with someone. You know, everybody's different. Everybody's got different personality types. You know, have a look at some of their social media, their testimonials, etc., and get a free call with them. And just ask lots of questions. If you don't understand what coaching is but you think it could help you, ask those questions. So it doesn't need to be a decision you agonise over, but your heart and your gut will usually lead the way. And if you feel that, or you think or you feel that there's something but you don't know what it is that's not going right for you, that's eating away at you, or there's just this sort of I liken it to sometimes when we know that there's something that we're not happy with, or we might want to fix, for example, it's almost like having a rumbling tummy. You know, when you're a little bit hungry and your tummy rumbles, but you're too busy to eat and you're busy doing stuff, and you ignore the rumbles in your tummy. And I'm saying that because I'm hungry now, actually. And the more that you leave that hunger, the louder your stomach gets. And the louder your stomach gets, the more noise it makes until you can't ignore it. And then you're really, really starving hungry. That's what I think we do with our problems, you know, if you can align it to that metaphor. We suppress things, and we sort of put off dealing with them, or whatever it is will start to surface, and you'll start to see, do you know what, I'm not so happy, I'm getting irritated, can't get up for work, you know, arguing with my partner, all of that sort of stuff. So it presents itself in many different ways. But, you know, the difference it can make is, for example, if you're somebody that is unhappy in your job, unfulfilled at work, knew what you wanted, wish you knew what you wanted to do, but you're dissatisfied, disillusioned, things aren't working out for you, stressed, then perhaps your confidence is taken a bit of a knock. But then can you imagine you're in that situation, and very often we can't see inside ourselves. We need someone objective, and a coach is trained to be objective, neutral, with tools and processes that will help you go, I didn't realise that, and to help you set goals and empower you to move along and keep you accountable, keep you on track, help you break down your goals, etc. Help you stretch your mindset, flex your mindset and open it up to new possibilities. But you can imagine then going from that situation where you're really unhappy and then hiring a coach, and then within 3 months you've found what you want to do. You've developed new ways and mindsets to help you feel happier and fulfilled. The majority of the time, if not most of the time, you've taken action to build your confidence and found a job you love, then wouldn't that be a good result to have? And that's what coaching can do. And coaching, certainly when I work with people, it's very positive. I like people to enjoy the process. Of course, there are serious things we talk about, but I don't want it to be all dark and serious and, worrisome. It's kind of, let's shed all of that and let's enjoy this process. So I like it to be positive, enthusiastic, supportive, trusting. Trust is very important. Focused, orientated towards a goal, and I respect my clients, and I respect the fact that they've even picked up the phone to talk to me about what's going on for them, because it's obviously completely confidential what we talk about, and it can be difficult and challenging. But taking that step is the most difficult one. Once you've made that step, sometimes there's no turning back, because I've had people that have said, I want coaching, talked about it, not heard back from them, and then literally months later it's like, that stuff we talked about, it hasn't gone away, because like I said about the rumbling tummy, it just gets too difficult to ignore it, and it gets to be like a really intense hunger pain. So we're really good at talking ourselves out of things. We're very good at self-sabotaging, keeping ourselves small, etc. And the prospect of change can be daunting. We don't know sometimes what it is we want and where we're going to get to, or even what's wrong. So how can we start to work on that? So sometimes our self-preservation kicks in, and that's what I talked about, the comfort zone. Even if the comfort zone is really uncomfortable, then we give ourselves all sorts of really good reasons not to change, not to proceed, such as, it's not the right time, I'm too old, I'm too young, I'm too busy, I'm too this, I'm too that, I don't know what I want. Well, that's what a coach or a mentor will help you with, identifying what those things are. There's techniques and tools we use to do that. So you might be able to figure things out when you're alone using podcasts, books, but I would definitely look at mentoring, coaching, counselling, other things that you can do. There's lots of different options for you. I would also say, if you are thinking of going down this route of self-development, developing your self-knowledge and improving your own awareness and expanding your mindset, etc., then I would say be careful who you tell that to, which that sounds a bit, a bit spooky, but sometimes people don't mean it. Sometimes people don't mean it, but sometimes other people in your life want to keep you where they are, and they're scared that if you change, then all of a sudden things are going to change for them. Now they might do, especially if it's a wife or a partner, might change for the better. One would hope it would. You could be improving communications, the time you spend together, connecting as a couple. It could be your new job gives you the flexibility to help look after the kids, for example. But just be mindful who you tell. I always say this. Be careful who you share your goals with, and be careful who you tell if you are going on this journey. Only pick people that you really trust, because sometimes when we're feeling a bit vulnerable, when we know we're going through some change, we might say something to, a family member, a friend, like, what are you doing that for? Oh, you don't need any of that. And they might try and talk you out of it. So just be careful who you share that with. A good friend will be really supportive and go for it. I'm really pleased you're tackling it. And sometimes, like I say, we can decide it's not the right time. We sort of have all these different excuses. So where do we start? So I'm going to give you a few tips now about where to start. I've talked about what can be happening when you're feeling like this and feeling like you want to develop as a person. I've talked about coaching, mentoring, what it can do, the sort of results it can bring. I've talked about, my own experiences, what it feels like when you're suppressing. when you're suppressing something and it starts to really, really bubble up. Thank you for the emojis, by the way. Hi Pedro, hi Stephen, hi Kevin, hi Naomi. So now I'm just going to wind up with a few tips on how you can really make a start. Try not to tackle everything at once, but if you don't know what it is that you're worried about, don't worry about it, which I know sounds like a contradiction, but don't worry about it, because somebody that's trained will help you understand what that is. They will listen to your language, they'll see your body language, they'll see how you react to certain questions. They're there to help you, and fully trained to really pull out what it is that's kind of wrong, inverted commas, although it's never wrong. It's just that we're aware of something, that something's not right, that we might not have been aware of before. So don't try and tackle everything at once. Take it bit by bit, especially if there's like massive life areas in terms of, I want to, I've decided I want to set up this brand new business, and at the same time I'm going to move to Hawaii and I'm going to have a property portfolio. I know I'm exaggerating, but you can have smaller goals for different areas of your life. So if you're used to working out, for example, you can have a regular goal of, I go outside every day, I go for a walk. Great, that might be quite easy for you. If you've never exercised before, running a half marathon or something might be a big deal for you and require more time and effort. So have a look at that, and your coach, your mentor will help you understand, okay, what are the realistic timelines if you've got different areas in your life? What are more of the longer term goals? What are more of the shorter term goals? And where are the priorities? So a coach will help you understand where the priorities are, which areas do you kind of want to focus on first. Otherwise you can end up feeling quite overwhelmed. So maybe you want to just pick on 1 to 3 areas of your life and focus on improving those first, rather than the typical 8, maybe 10 areas of life. And you can, if you want to go it alone and find a way to do it, find some books, find some courses on Udemy. There's loads of other course platforms out there that will sort of stop. You can get like a workbook, some exercises, stop and start the videos, and take the knowledge that you need to from the books and the podcasts. Maybe there's some mastermind groups or some Facebook groups that you can belong to, but the key is to take action. It's all very well raising the self-awareness, but we have to do something different, whether that's how we go about our lives, how we behave, how we interact with others. But you need to keep that momentum going, because otherwise you're going to know, do you know what, I started doing this and I didn't do it. Fair enough if you decide, I thought I wanted to do this but I don't, that's fair enough, as long as you can rest easy with that. But do keep going and find some courses and books that might help you, and try not to tackle everything at the same time. So it might be better for you to read let's say 5 books on a certain subject every year, say 5 or 10 books every year, and take something from each of them, rather than reading 30 and not doing anything about it. I've already talked about finding somebody to help you, like a coach or a mentor. Those could be people in the public arena, like Mike Dillard, Tony Robbins, all of those kinds of people. Different people are going to resonate with you. For me, there's certain people that I enjoy listening to, some people less so. It could be, a colleague, an author, it could be a coach, it could be a teacher, whoever that is. Find those mentors or a mentor and just hone in on a few. Don't, maybe, if you don't want to go down the paying for a professional route, then maybe pick 1 to 3 people that you feel you can really trust, or you really enjoy listening to, maybe 1 to 5 even, and study and follow what they say. Listen to what they say, how they go about their struggles. Have they had a similar struggle to you? And listen to what they say. But whatever you do, I think going it alone is quite tricky at times. So again, Facebook groups. Medium is another really good public, I'm calling it a publication, it's more like a website. I think you have to pay for membership, but it's called medium.com, and there's loads of really great self-help articles on there. There's things like Mind Valley, there's apps like Insight Timer, which is quite spiritual, but they've got a number of courses on there in terms of how to be happy, etc, blah blah blah. So set yourself some goals. Definitely need to set some goals, but don't have 50 million different goals. Make them really specific, make them measurable, and put a timeline against them. You need to know, what does the end look like to you? What does ideal look like to you? and add a deadline, and then break that deadline down into baby steps. If you try and sometimes bite it off in one go and don't set yourself timelines, you tend to be like a bit of a rudderless ship. So if you decide, I want to lose 20 pounds before October, what year are we in? 2021. That might be something that you need to break down into specific measurable points, you know. And actually, I wouldn't even say I want to lose 20 pounds. You can do, but I prefer things phrased more positively, as in, I want to be my ideal weight where I feel really great about myself and my weight is X. I'm just using this as an example. And then you might need to go with a fitness coach, a nutrition coach, to really understand, oh, I didn't know that was contributing to my weight gain. You know, there's loads of apps as well. There's running apps, there's Fitness Pal, there's lots of fasting apps as well you can have a look at. But sometimes we don't know what we don't know. Remember what I said about not seeing inside of ourselves, you know. And there's stuff that I've learned even on my own fitness journey in the last few years, and I thought I was pretty knowledgeable, and then it's like, oh, I didn't know that about nutrition, I didn't know that about food. So that really helped me to change some habits and get fitter than I was before. I was fit, but I just wanted to take it that step further. And now that health and fitness, that was a, you know, sort of a goal that I had a few years ago. Now that's maintenance. I've made it a habit. It's part of my life, so I don't have to focus too much on it because I feel fairly happy in that area of my life. And you have to know why, you know. And that's not like, why are you doing that? It's not a judgy why, but it's like, why do you want to achieve what you want to achieve? How will it make your life better? Because knowing why you're doing something will help with motivation. If you don't know why you're doing something and you just feel like, well, it might be a good thing to do, other people are doing it and I feel left out, you've got to really have a strong reason why. So if you decide, I want to set up a property business, what's the why behind that? There's a really good book by Simon Sinek called Start with Why, and that helps you find out your why. Now, you might need a why for your overall life in terms of like, what's my purpose, what's really important to me, is it helping people, is it relaxing, you know, that bigger picture thing. But if you've got a specific goal, and it might be, I want to have a property business earning X amount by this time, great. So what's the reason behind that? Because that's the thing that's going to keep you going when the going gets tough. Because when we start with a project, when we start with something, sometimes we can get very enthusiastic about the beginning. We can get very enthusiastic about what the end's going to look like. And then what does the middle look like? Oh, hi, Daddy, I'm good, thank you. You got a nice, happy, smiley face there. How are you? Are you out dancing yet? I'm not. Well, I think we've got until June. Is it June we're allowed to go out and dance and goodness knows what, but we'll see. Fingers crossed. But say, for example, you want to have, yeah, I just talked about that example of a property portfolio. So why? Why is that? Is it because you want to spend more time with your kids? Is it because you want to build some financial freedom that flipping properties and building that portfolio can give you, so you don't work 9 to 5? Is it so that you've got some like rental income coming in so you can travel when we're allowed to a bit more? You know, what is the why behind that? Is it freedom? Is it travel? Is it to make, you know, cumulative incomes coming in? Is it to spend more time with your partner? Is it to spend more time being able to give to a cause or a charity, that kind of thing? So I've just found, we all do it. Good, I'm glad you're well, Jeddy. When I'm feeling a bit meh, a bit unmotivated, I feel like procrastinating, I kind of look at my vision and my goals and think, that's why I'm doing it. Because we all get times like that. And it's fine to chill out now and again, but if it's impacting how you're progressing with goals, then it might be worth thinking about what's my why. Be really clear on the different routes you're going to take to your goals. Don't pick 1,000,001 different ways to do it. Pick a few and see what's going to work well, what's going to be the best way for you to achieve this goal. keep them written down. I would say write them down. So, there's lots of, if you can use a coach, a mentor, some of the expertise I pointed out earlier, books, podcasts, coaches you like online, Facebook groups, all the apps that I've mentioned before. You can find a nice book and they'll help you to break down the goals, because it can get a bit overwhelming. It's like, oh my God, where do I start? So keep it simple, to start with, and realise that sometimes it's not going to be smooth. Sometimes you are going to challenge yourself, and sometimes the time when we feel like giving up and stopping is exactly the time when we need to keep forward motion and keep going. Sometimes, for various reasons, perhaps we've got other things going on in our life, like we have for the last year, for example. There might be times where you feel less motivated, you might have less momentum, and you might be less enthusiastic about self-development. We all go through times like that, everyone. Nobody is a robot, even, I don't know if you've heard of Tony Robbins, like mega coach, one of the biggest in the world. He has loads of coaches himself because he realizes, I can't do this all by myself, so a lot of people in those arenas do have a coach. So when you're struggling, and if it feels like it's hard, it might be because that's the old self. Remember what I said about the comfort zone, staying stuck where we are, staying in a comfort zone even though it may not feel comfortable. It might be your old self of your limiting beliefs of, who am I kidding? Why can't I do this? Oh, well, what makes me think this is possible for me? Or I'm not this, I'm not that. So really think about those limiting beliefs and try and definitely flip it into something positive that you can say to yourself. Go back to your mentors, go back to those books, go back to those resources, remind yourself of your why. Whenever we are changing, modifying, improving, we get resistance, and we create that resistance for ourselves. So realise that it's entirely natural. You're not alone. It happens to everyone. It happens. We do it to ourselves, and other people can do it to us. Remember what I said about who you share your goals with and who you tell about your journey. You want people that can lift you up. We don't want these energy vampires that are sort of, why are you doing that? That is not a noise that a vampire makes, by the way. I don't know where that came from. It just sounded like a bird or something. So sometimes people can feel a little bit threatened when you're deciding to grow and improve, maybe a bit envious. So just be mindful of that. That will be maybe one of the reasons where it might go up and down a bit for you. But keep going, step by step, bit by bit, and celebrate every little step along the way. And you'll realise, wow, those steps add up to a really big, tall ladder or staircase. And I talk about this a lot, about setbacks being a real sort of opportunity for a growth spurt. Hi Joanna, how are you? Did you get my WhatsApp? That's my sister. Where was I? Yes, right, this is what I believe, and probably you guys have read about this a lot. I really fundamentally believe that our growth is defined by the obstacles that we overcome, because, not being funny, I'm spiritual, I meditate, I'm really lucky that with the work that I've done over the years, 9 times out of 10 I'm feeling really positive with life, or at least I'm dealing with it. Like the pandemic, it was like, right, what can I do? What's my plan here? What can I do to kind of get through this? But it's very easy to be very positive when you are everything's going well, and then life chucks something at you, doesn't it? It's like, oh my God, another curveball. Where did that come from? And it's very easy to get blown off course with that. That is exactly the time when you need to keep going. Studies have shown that the key to happiness is actually resilience, persistence. There's so many studies that tell us that actually happiness is about overcoming these obstacles, because it's great when everything's going well. It's really easy to meditate and kind of, I'm not saying meditation is bad, because I do it all the time. It's fantastic for being in the present moment, which is another key to happiness. But you can't meditate your way out of a crappy situation or something you want to change. There will be actions that you need to take. And just, I'm not trying to put you off, because I can't tell you how different I felt from before I started my journey to how I feel now. And I continue to do it. I continue to have coaching when I'm encountering challenges that's like, do you know what, I just need to offload this. It's really, really important. And it has been, when I look at the things in my life and some of my clients, the growth that I've experienced have come from the really blinking, challenging moments, you know. My self-development's been a combination of when I was much, much younger, going to see a counsellor. I then, as I said, had some coaching when I was very young, very young, like 25, something like that. And then that sort of created that journey. I read books. I then went to a weekend workshop. I then read more books. I then read more books. And then I got into spirituality, quite deep spirituality. And I was like, right, where am I with this? And then I found a local group that practiced the same line of spirituality as me. They have practitioners that help me with challenges. We help each other. And then, you know, lo and behold, 7 years ago, with everything I'd studied, I thought, yeah, you know, I really want to do this for a living and help other people because I've been through that journey myself. So your growth will be defined by the obstacles, and I would say wear your obstacles like as a badge of honour, because I'm not saying walk about and talk as, I feel like I'm stuttering now, talk as though you're a victim, but it's a necessary component of success. And just be really proud of yourself. I'm sure there's stuff that you've really had to overcome this year. I know this last year has just been like no other, and many of us have had to dig deep just to kind of get by day with all the challenges that presents. And maybe we've not thought about some of the things that we used to think about because we're just dealing with what's in front of us. You know, our brains have really adapted to the lockdown and the pandemic. It's had to deal with like lots of micro stresses, even though we might not be aware of it, and that can make us tired and demotivated. But is it time now to dust off those books, listen to those podcasts and carry on with thinking about what your life might look like in the future and what you want and what your why is, what is your purpose. I did do a video, as I mentioned at the beginning, last week about lockdown brain. I think it's on Facebook. I posted it last week. It's about 45 minutes long because I got a bit carried away, to be honest. So yeah, so there you go. Covered it, you know, where to start, my journey, different tips of how to get started, where you can get help from, the benefits it can give to you, and that's it for now. So I am thinking about doing these videos earlier on a Friday. I'll have a think about that. I do ones on Instagram as well. Hi Toby, how's Manchester? I'm just about to finish now actually, but I'm going to post this on my page, so I hope you're well. Don't know if you've been down to the shops yet, because I know last time when we got out of lockdown, I think you were going to try and go shopping or something. But yeah, anyway, thank you ever so much for listening. Have a fantastic weekend, and I'll post this on my Facebook page. And yeah, be careful out there, still be safe, still, you know, look after your friends and family as always. Oh, that's great, Toby. So you've managed to get out and about a bit, I hope, and sort of start feeling a bit more human. I know I have. I've taken to going to the pub with a hot water bottle now, because it's I love being in the fresh air, but it's been a bit cold down here lately. So I'm actually going out not with a sparkly handbag, but with a handbag, yes, my handbag, but a blanket and a hot water bottle. Who would have seen that coming? The latest fashion accessory. Anyway, have a great weekend, everyone. Take care. Bye.